I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting. I called a special call meeting tonight. My concerns were with the insurance, liability insurance for the Smoky Mountain Rumble. I did have some concerns, so I did approach the county attorney, which we did give you a copy of the certificate of insurance that I was given. And my concerns were that the description to coverage was setting up the tent and giving away magazines for the Rumble on the Highlands Road, which is not covering the promotion of the whole rally. So I did contact the county attorney and asked if he could look over this to see, to make sure that we had coverage. And from this policy, this does not cover what Sylvia is promoting on the Highlands Road, the Smoky Mountain Rumble. So I did give Sylvia till Friday at 5 to have the insurance policy corrected with the right coverage, and I still was not given that. So I called the special call meeting because I felt like the board needed to be aware and to have the county attorney to explain what we need for the insurance to cover the
town attorney.
I'm sorry, I keep saying county.
Chester Jones wishes it.
Shoot me, sorry. It's okay, sorry.
Maybe I can bill them too.
So, Mr. Penning, would you please explain how this insurance policy and what we do have to have?
I think what you described, the way that you described the inadequacy of it is just right. I mean, it covers the activities of setting up a tent, giving away magazines, and it's more, and which is probably in line with what a vendor would want to get covered for their liability. That's whatever vendor activities you might have in an event like that. What would happen is, however, if you had an incident that was not related to either setting up a tent or giving away magazines, is that there's basically there's no coverage here. I can tell you that for certain. I consulted a little bit with the town's local agent about what coverage the town's insurance might have for you, and the best I can tell you is I'm not sure. The TDA is not separately listed as an entity that is covered under the town's insurance policy, whereas things like the Board of Adjustment, the Planning Board, things like that are covered. I am going to explore with the local agent some better coverage, I think, that for the TDA. I think that as we do that, we're going to want to explore the TDA's practices and make sure that they're very, very well nailed down, because if you get added to insurance, the town's insurance, they're going to want to see all of that. So basically, I cannot promise you there's any coverage under the town's policy for anything that might happen not related to those couple of little things that are covered by this policy. There's obviously there's a lot of potential for liability in motorcycle activities. You know, it's not. I'm not saying that they're the most dangerous things in the world, but it's certainly a possibility. And this certificate of liability insurance would not protect the TDA or the town from any liability related to a motorcycle wreck that happened on the property or in connection with the event. And I'm not 100% satisfied that the TDA ought to be liable if something like that happens. I think that you should have a certain amount of governmental immunity, because you're acting as officials for the government. This is not, a social club. You are acting on behalf of the town and by appointment of the town. But the problem with that sort of thing is it's not a get out of lawsuit free card that I can just wave and that's the end of it. And you won't have. That's the kind of argument you're in court and you spent a hefty sum of money just to make that argument. So and you may lose. And you may be looking at whatever amount of liability is in that claim. So that's why I agree that the insurance as it stands is just not adequate to cover promotion. What I would think you'd want to say is promotion of a motorcycle rally or events related to that in a much broader fashion than this is drawing.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Okay. Basically what because I wasn't fortunate at the last meeting. Basically, like for instance, if a motorcycle, because I know that's gravel and dirt, so if a motorcycle turned over accidentally, somebody gets hurt, they're not covered.
Not by this.
Or if they say, well, the parking lot was all gravel and it wasn't smooth enough, so the damage to the motorcycle was X amount of dollars and we're suing you. We're not covered.
Not going to be covered by this.
So without insurance, it can't happen.
Well, I don't think that the town or the TDA has authority to stop it from happening. I think that because I mean it's not an illegal event. It's if they want to go on private property and hold a motorcycle rally, it's legal for them to do
Smoky
that.
Mountain Rumble is literally.
I think the best that the TDA can do in terms of shielding itself from liability with things the way that they are at this point is to, if it's not a possibility, and I know this is something that was explored with Ms. Cochran, if it's not a possibility to get it adequately covered, then the best thing that the TDA can do to shield itself and the town from liability is to take formal action to withdraw its support of the event, to instruct the event organizers that the TDA and the town's logos and names are not to be used on the event any longer.
Come up here and sit in the hot seat.
Is that okay with everybody?
Sure. Sylvia, honey, do we get insurance coverage? Can we get the right insurance coverage?
I don't know who called, but the insurance company, the attorney, or you.
I talked to your agent.
And when he told me, he said that we had to cover participants, spectators, just a whole gamut of things. Okay. As far as the insurance and putting the wording on the insurance company to cover that, the promotions, however it is.
Activities related to promotion of a motorcycle rally.
We can get that done.
That's the problem.
Okay.
But what she's saying is, that's not going to cover a spectator. That's not going to cover your scenario. That's going to cover.
Didn't I say also hosting?
Insurance companies won't insure government entities, and they won't insure spectators. Not from a private individual standpoint. They can put you on there as what they told us. Now, this is all I got to go by. You can add them on as something, but it's not because of what you said. The immunity. They told us they won't cover it. We do an event and we do a Barbarian Challenge, which is a running event. They don't cover the participants, and the people that are participating, if they ride up there on a motorcycle, they're participating in the rally. So they're not covered. They all will cover spectators. They won't cover participants.
Even if somebody gets hurt.
Well, see, their insurance says you have a certain amount of personal responsibility, a personal acceptance of things being the way they are. And when they go to these rallies or when they go to any event, the lot's gravel. It would have to be some type of, for us to lose something like that, it would have to be negligence. We would have to be, I don't know.
But some people.
Well, they're going to sue you. Here's the thing.
Get so happy.
I understand. They're going to sue you. anyway. I mean, they can come up there and any reason is sue you. That's an insurance policy don't stop anybody from suing. But it just means that the insurance company will have to defend it or either pay it. That's what your policy is. And that's all your policy does for you. It don't stop anybody from suing.
And I totally agree with that. You're exactly right. But is that a reason not to get an insurance?
No, we're not saying that. What we're saying is we can get the wording that you
Yeah,
want.
we can do that.
And the only reason we didn't get it done, part of the reason we didn't get it done in time, we were on vacation last week. We were in Florida. And we just can't get,
The first time it was the 17th, and then when I didn't make that, then she told me I had to have it by 5 o'clock on Friday. The first email, I had to have it by the next day.
It was 9 a.m.
9
a.m.
on 9 a.m., right. And then the next, I didn't make it by then because
because we're
lady
trying to
wanted
get, well, for one thing, we did all explore and say, hey, can we get policies like this? You know, you call people up, I'll get back to you. It's 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours later, and the next day before they get back to you.
But the TDA board had asked for a copy of this for a certificate of liability 2 months ago. And it didn't even come for us to even look at until what's the date? I believe July the 11th?
The May 23rd, and you're free to disagree that this is what you said, but the May 23rd minutes of this board say that you acknowledging that the contract, and this is the contract for your use of the private property, but the contract also states that the individual signing the contract is responsible for providing a binder or certificate of insurance for the event.
But in May, we didn't have a location. And you can't get insurance.
get
You can't get
insurance.
insurance on an event if you have no location.
Okay,
I do have insurance.
regardless of whatever wording that you take issue with the way that I put it to you, you don't think that it covers the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Is it possible for you to get coverage for this event? Bottom
With
line,
that
full
wording?
stop. Yeah,
With that, yeah.
Because the guy you talked to has already told us he can put that wording in there
for the event.
for that event.
But why don't we have it now?
I didn't get it.
I mean, did you send any type of email correspondence or anything with Candy or let anyone know that you could get this? Or, the event's weeks away, and here we're looking at, we have no insurance coverage on something we assumed we had up until a week and a half ago.
Well, understand though, this wasn't told us at the start. When we started this process, it wasn't said you had to have an insurance policy that says this. We just said you had to have insurance. This is an insurance policy we've used for years, the same way it's been.
Let me interrupt for just a second. You do this event in Helen, but it is
Right.
on the main street, which is covered by
It's
the
on city
town,
property.
correct?
Right.
Which the town covers the insurance.
No.
No, we have the
We
same
to do
policy. We have the same
policy.
liability policy, and we named the city of Helen as an insurer.
Right.
But
But
if
what
you're,
the
but if
long
you're
thing
doing that
was
same
when-
event with this policy and with these activities covered, you're not covering anything.
When I,
You are only, you're talking about promotion of the same sort of event in Helen, Georgia, but you're only covering, you're only getting coverage for setting
But
up
let me
and giving
finish.
away magazines.
when I received this insurance policy,
She
it
said-
says setting up tent and giving away magazines for 8:15 to 8:20 at the Highlands Road location. That
Did
is
they
not what
fax
we're
that,
doing
did they
here.
fax that directly to them, or did that come to us? No, that came directly from them.
Mm-hmm.
They sent you the wrong policy.
No,
Okay, no,
you
we've
sent
got all
this
of
to
it.
us.
This is everything that's been sent to me. And then on the second sheet, setting up tent and
CBS.
giving away magazines. Setting up tent and giving away magazines, same thing on the road. This is the insurance policy that we got.
All right, this came from CBS. That's not our fax number.
We requested a certificate of insurance
understand that.
liability, and this is what we got.
Why didn't you provide it to us then? Why is the insurance company sending it to us? That was part of the requirement, that you provide us with a certificate of liability. Why are you not?
You care if it comes from us, or you care if it comes from the insurance company? You
All
care-
we
Well, I
need
would
is the
prefer to
insurance
get it.
policy.
We asked them to send this to you.
Because I was
It's
not.
come from
Because-
Sylvia.
Well, did you not review it before you asked
No,
them to
we
send it
didn't.
to us?
No, we didn't, because we've done this before, and we said, send them the policy.
And that's the policy that your insurance company says that you have.
Right,
This is-
because this is the last thing we did was a bike show in Panama City Beach. And evidently they didn't change the wording. And they didn't change however they
My
do this.
reason for having this meeting, I do not want to be held responsible for something that happens when you supposedly have coverage and something does happen and it comes back to me. I'd rather cancel the damn thing than someone come after me and sue me and my family or somebody else because we did not have proper coverage.
Okay.
So he contacted you or you contacted them
contacted the
and
insurance
you were going to
company.
have it changed, but why is it not changed? Why do we still not have the insurance policy?
Because what he told the insurance agent was they had to provide coverage for A, B, C, D, and E. They had to cover the spectators, the participants. What else?
I don't have my notes. for you.
Are you saying that I said that?
Somebody
Somebody
told
talked
Denny
to
at CBS that. So then we had
Well,
to,
I don't care who faxed it, I don't care
Right.
when the wording did or didn't get changed.
Right.
I want to know, is it possible for you to get coverage for the
Yes.
event, period?
To-
Why
yes.
don't you have it? Because this is, you have been promoting these
Because
events over and
when
over
you
again
say
with, and if
participants,
this
we
is the
can't
activity, if
cover
these are the
participants.
activities that are covered by your policy, you're not covering anything.
okay.
You're not,
this
your policy doesn't
this-
cover anything.
This policy is for a bike show in Panama City Beach, where we don't promote, we don't have vendors, we don't have, that's a separate thing. All right, so he sent you the wrong policy.
So you
down
have
there.
a policy that covers
Yes.
events like
Right.
this.
But when I emailed back and contacted and said that we did not have enough insurance to cover this event, why wasn't I sent the correct insurance?
I don't know because we wasn't in town and I didn't see this policy.
You know what? It's not my problem. It's less than a month away, and this board needs to be covered because we did want to have a bike
I think
ride.
we're now hand here. I think we need to let Mr. Henning coordinate with them, give them so many days, and get the proper wording that meets his approval. But I don't think we're making progress in saying, we all know what was brought up and when it was supposed to be here, so on. But if the wording is not proper, I don't know the proper wording. I think only Mr. Henning is at this table, who is very qualified. If he can get the wording with their insurance and get the policy that he thinks we should approve, then I think we should. But I don't think we're gonna.
Well, we tried to do that prior to this meeting.
I'm well aware of that. I'm just trying to, either we need to make a decision that we're
That's
gonna
why
have
we're
this
here.
or not have it, and we've got to have it, the proper wording in that policy that meets his approval.
Sylvia, how long would it take you guys to get the proper wording? Can it be written up the way he's saying it needs to be written up?
When we find out exactly what he wants, then we will go back to the insurance company and get that
Do
done.
you mind if I contact your agent directly about what that needs to be
And what's the
and
date
to
on
see if
that?
it's covered?
We
Sorry.
need to put a deadline date on this.
I don't know that you couldn't.
Why don't we meet back here Monday night?
Because
For
he
most of the
to
week?
work with you.
Is that, do you think that's enough time to?
I'm going to be out of town from tomorrow morning through the end of the week, but I mean, I could try to contact him between now and then. I should be able to do that.
I'm with all of y'all about doing this and wanting it to go, and I want it to happen, but it's less than a month away. Adequate time. May was when we were supposed to have it, and we still didn't get it. The last meeting, we made a motion that we had it by a certain date. We still didn't have it, and now we're getting the wrong stuff. We've talked to them about getting the correct insurance by Friday at 9 o'clock. Still no word. 5 o'clock Friday evening, still no word. Or I called, and then it was, we're working on it. So if we continue to do this, we're just stalling it even longer. And we've got 3 to 4 weeks, and that's all I'm saying.
No, I understand. I don't want to be sued either.
And you
So,
know,
You know
with
what we
bikes
want
and
you to
things
do.
like that
People
happening,
can't go down. I know
things
that.
could happen. And I think that everyone needed a right to know that we
But
didn't have the
if he,
insurance.
in his goodness of his heart and his generosity,
Well, I don't have
it,
to. I take it out when you start law school.
All right, well, let me ask a question. Because I get the distinct feeling that Candy wanting to pull the plug on this right now. But, which I'm fine with, honestly. I'm already $3,000 in the hole, and the way y'all been nitpicking my budget, I just soon pull the plug on it right now. And if that's the consensus, we can walk out the door happy. Because I can change the website and explain everything that's went on, and explain how our position is, and explain some things that we've had to kind of brush under the rug that's made us look bad. But realistically, we need insurance the day before we open. All right? And as long as that's provided and everybody's happy with it and it's done the way it's supposed to be, that's the way a lot of events happen. Because sometimes you get these dumb insurance companies, and these guys, you'll get one, because they're reinsurers, and they get an insurance company that goes out of business the week before. And you have to wind up scrambling to get insurance. But now, see, because sitting here before the meeting, I had to go over the budget again to see exactly why we're so far in the hole. And in December, we submitted a bill for $2856.12 for promotional items. That was supposed to be an additional, because we spent that money to go to some of these rallies, go to some of these indoor shows and give out bags and poker chips and brochures and things that were not in the original budget. And I wasn't at the meeting, Sylvia was, and she came back and told me that that was going to be added to the budget. Well, it wasn't. It was in these minutes, it said that it was made as a part of the previously approved amount. Now, Sylvia says she don't see the amendment. She don't see the minutes. We pull these off the website. She doesn't see them or hear them. They're not read out, so she had no way to object to this when it was read.
This was when Mike grew.
And when Mike came to the show, in Knoxville, he told me, yes, that'll be an addition. We'll just add that as a part of the budget, or add that additional to the part of the budget. And I asked Mike at that meeting, I said, Mike, what happens if we can't get downtown? What happens if we have to go rent someplace? He said, that's no problem. You just submit an amended budget, and we'll make sure it's covered. But that hadn't happened, because you specifically said that had to come out of our part. Now, we've come up here, either one or both of us, at least a dozen times. It costs $100 minimum up here to drive up here and gas. So that's $1,200, and you got to eat. So if you count all that up, we're way in the hole in this thing. Besides the grief we're getting. So if you want to pull the plug, let's pull the plug.
But
I'm going to stop you right there, because I've been through this, through the whole get-go, and those people that you're mentioning that was on the board are no longer on the board. I have fought for this tooth and nail, dealt with the papers, dealt with everything that's went along with it. I've been fine, but there's certain things that I have to cover myself as, and the rest of the board, and that's why they were called here today, because they have a right to know that certain things, you've had deadlines for a lot of things. The invoices, you have to provide proper documentation in order for those things to be paid.
Yeah, but here's the thing, we can't pay a band. We can't put out the $3,000 for the band and then wait 2 weeks to get paid. You want us to submit an invoice for a band after 2 weeks after we had to pay them that night? Sound and Lights got to pay them that night? See, if you'd explain all this up front at the start, that when you wanted to do this motorcycle rally, we would have said, you know what, it would be better for us to design you a nice flyer and a brochure, and we'll go around and promote you at these events that we go to. That would have been way better than what this has turned out to be.
Well, the thing is, you're the promoters for a rally. You do a rally. You know what it costs. You know what it is. You made the budget. You make the budget.
Absolutely,
I have
but we
no
didn't.
idea what it's going to cost.
But right, but it was in the beginning. We were getting a lot of support. It was no problem until this started. Until all this started, and we came to the city. We came to the city meeting, and we got hung out to dry because we were told up front that there wouldn't be any problem. Wouldn't be any problem getting downtown closed. That wasn't going to be any. That wasn't
Did
going to be
the
an issue.
board tell you
People on
that
the
you were
board.
going to get
Yes.
one person on the board?
No people on the board.
I'm
Because
sorry,
I-
excuse me. What does any of this have to do with whether or not you can get insurance? in
It
this
has
event?
nothing to do with insurance except for, we've had to come up here again. And now you want us to come back Monday again?
I talked to your agent, and he said that there was no way on earth he would write a policy that would cover you on this event.
That's not what he told, is that what he told you?
And be as that may, I've got another insurance company, I got 2 more insurance companies willing to write. That's the reason I didn't bring on that. That's another reason we did. I went to them specifically with what you had as how to word and the $2 million and all this, and they're ready to do however we need to do with what you have said.
Why don't you provide that?
Well, I got one other question though. Does every festival have to provide this?
I'm going to recommend that.
I didn't ask that. I said, does every festival have to provide that as of now? The monies that have been given from the TDA to promote festivals, do they have to provide this?
The TDA has not had a policy
Okay.
requiring it up until now.
So-
But I'm going to recommend that
But
they
we're-
adopt a
but-
policy that they require that in adequate
You're going
insurance.
to recommend that?
But
at some point
they
in
have
the
been
future.
working with you for months to get you to supply adequate insurance and proof thereof, and you have not done it. And anything else you say to that is just obfuscation and bull crap. It's just dissembling, and it's not a whit of truth to any of that.
What part of it is not true?
I talked to your own agent who said he would have to send you to Lloyd's of London to get this covered. And I don't know where else to tell you to go with it. If you
What's the
have,
insurance company in Texas that you got a quote from?
The email, I don't have it.
if you can
Plus-
show us a quote for
plus,
something that'll come
um,
close to covering this in terms of liability, I'd love to see it.
What time is it, Lisa?
It's 5:58,
Well, I can't get Lisa now on the phone.
but Texas is 2 hours behind.
John, what would be your recommendation for the board to do, the TDA board to do tonight?
Your board has certainly not been shown adequate liability coverage to cover this board or the town for anything. And I don't know, I have a very strong inclination that if you give it another 2 weeks, it'll just be, well, we need another 2 weeks. Because that's what your minutes look like it's been since May, at least. I can't recommend you to plunge ahead without better proof that you're going to be insured.
It's not like we started this thing yesterday. It's been over a year.
How does the rest of some board members feel? Just discussion about what Mr. Hennings advised in relation to the insurance alone. What would you guys feel comfortable, given the advice of the town attorney and what's been said here, what would the board feel comfortable?
Well, I do have a question. So Mr. Henning has said he's talked to the insurance company, their insurance company. They don't have that wording and probably won't be able to issue that type of policy.
Distinctly
Now, you said you do have a company that will cover,
I've got 2 companies. I've already.
that will
recent-
do the wording that
Yes, ma'am.
our
Yes, ma'am.
attorney's recommending?
Yes, ma'am.
But we don't have that here now, or we
No, ma'am, because I was waiting to make sure, because I was told nothing would be accepted after 5 o'clock, so I didn't do anything else.
Mr. Henning, you did provide, though, if I'm not mistaken, the actual wording, what it
Sure.
needed to
Sure.
state. They were aware of what it needed
Yeah,
to
I
state before
suggested
tonight.
something that would be much closer to covering the liabilities we're talking about.
and that's the wording you're talking about, that the
Yes.
insurance company said, yes, we would do that.
I've got my
And that's what
phone.
we asked for them to provide by Friday.
By last,
9
So
a.m.
we didn't get it by
Friday.
Friday. We got it yesterday.
You still don't even have it.
You didn't hear, we're not buying it because you said you won't accept it after 5 o'clock Friday. So why would we spend
Tell me.
$750 more on a policy that may or may not be accepted?
Because the deadline is a deadline. You have to have something.
You didn't hear me. I just said, you said Friday was the deadline.
It
We
was
didn't-
the
But
deadline,
we didn't
but
get
you
it till
had months
Monday.
to do it.
But why do you need an insurance policy this soon? Why do you have to have a policy this soon?
Okay, I'm gonna kind of calm, it's getting really heated. I'm gonna leave it up to the TDA board members with the advice of the town attorney.
I'll tell you why the concern has come up to the degree that it has. Because apparently, and by your own statements, you have been promoting motorcycle rallies all over the southeast with coverage that covers you for, and I'm talking only, from everything that we've been shown. If you got something else, I'd love to see it. Covering only setting up a tent, distributing magazines. And I don't think that covers much of anything, especially in
And I
something
agree with
as...
you, if that's what you've got to go, and you're right, that would appear to be that way, but it's not the only policy we have.
How are we to know?
Well, you notice by the same way that when the TDA came to us and said, we'd like for you to put on a rally, they didn't know us either. We didn't provide any documentation at that point either. But they looked at the track record and said, we've been doing this for 12 years, and we've had no major complaints, we've had no problems. So evidently these guys have their ducks in a row. Now, if that's not good enough at this point, then I guess it's not good enough.
I've got a question for
But, well,
Mr. Haney though. Is it because the insurance policy is different if they're using government-owned property when this is going off-site? Is that what's making the difference? Also, when we give other funds out for promoting tourism, it's usually we give a grant request to an organized group, which is something that's held on the grounds here. Is that the?
To my understanding,
it's a question.
I'm sure that it's much easier to get coverage for an event that happens in a public space, on public property of some kind or another. Because there's already all kinds of liability coverage there that, and it's not, I mean, a municipality absolutely can get insured. So I don't quite understand that part about they won't insure
We can't.
a town.
What he told us is we couldn't. We couldn't insure the town. The town can get it. He just said we couldn't.
What do you mean, we?
We couldn't buy a policy for the town,
You couldn't.
is the way he put it to us.
Not even with certificate of liability, because that's what they did. I mean,
You
they
know,
issued us a certificate of liability.
It sounded strange to me too.
Okay. I mean, the town on its own, for its own purposes, buys insurance. So I don't know. I don't understand why he would have told you that. But would it increase the cost of the policy if it's something that's going to be held on private property? I would have to think definitely so. But like I say, I don't know any reason that the town and the TDA's activities in that event are not coverable for some reason. I don't know any reason.
Let me take that same question back to you. Do you normally have events on St. Helen, on Gordon's property and Panama City that's held on their property as opposed to going out and renting?
Yeah, almost all of ours in the motorcycle field are on public town property, city streets or city park. The other event we do rent, some private property for that event. But it's not motorcycle related. But it's more dangerous because it's like the Warrior Dash. More people get hurt in that than ever been hurt in motorcycle rally.
Okay, so then, there's no wording right now, but you say you have a company that can do the wording. There was this comment made about having a special meeting, another meeting called on next Monday. You mentioned that we're just continuing, postponing. But I mean, to kind of move things along, at this point, what do? We either call a meeting, another meeting, so they can come with the insurance, that they have a company that will cover them, or we just withdraw. Is that our options at this point?
And that's what we stated in the last
Well, and
meeting.
and really, they don't have to come on Monday as long as
he
Mr.
has
Henny's
proof.
got the information. If he's got a copy of the policy, they don't have to make a special trip up here.
Yeah, that's
And then we can meet and see what the best that they've come up with and say
And then
it
go
should
from
be a
there.
15-minute meeting.
Because at that point, is it a yay or nay?
I think we're going to all be listening to what Mr. Henning says, because I'm not an attorney. I couldn't tell you
Right,
that or
exactly.
And I've seen a lot of policies like that.
And those are down by the
Chamber of Commerce, boards.
And that we're talking about a policy that's been
Sent
issued, not an email, that they will cover it. Is
And
that
what I'm
right?
concerned about,
I don't know that you couldn't, if you had a quote that was good through a certain date that would cover, and you knew it was adequate coverage, it was going to be satisfactory to all of us, I don't know that they have to have bought the policy.
Okay. They can just show us that, yes, they would cover
I would
us.
want some proof that the quote was still good and that it was going to cover the TDA in the town.
Okay.
Let me see.
But then what if they don't?
Well,
I mean, okay, we have a company that will cover it, but then,
But what about your vendors and all your other people too? I mean, we gotta think of adequate time to let everybody inform that. I mean, for everyone to be informed. I mean, how many weeks do we have left?
to inform of whether or not we were moving forward.
Just anyone covered. What if somebody else doesn't want to be there because they're not covered? I mean, on the ground, nothing's covered. Right
Well,
now,
I don't-
nothing is covered.
Right, and I
Of all
don't,
these people that's already.
I'm in
filed.
agreement with you, I wouldn't want to move forward if nothing's covered. But then I'm thinking, should we give them the opportunity if they say there is an insurance company? Of course, now I just got on the board a couple of months ago, so if they've been doing, I don't know what's happened in past history. If it's been an ongoing thing, and by saying, okay, we'll bring it to us by next week, if that's just doing more of the same. That's what it sounds like, right?
it's what it looks like to me in looking at
Several
the
months of it.
minutes from the previous meetings.
Several months of asking for insurance.
Yes.
Well, here's the thing, we couldn't get insurance because we didn't have a location. You can't just call up the insurance company and say, hey, we're gonna put a rally on in Franklin, we don't know yet where.
When did we
but
have
give
the
us a call.
location decided? When was that decided?
Last month. Because we didn't have a contract. So it sounds like we've been doing this all year. It sounds like we had all year, but we didn't have all year. We've had a month.
The May 23rd
We
minutes
didn't
say that
have
you had
a
contract.
location in May.
But the event just kind of.
The May 23rd minutes say that you were considering the Highlands property and that the contract also states the individual signing the contract is responsible for providing a binder or certificate of insurance for the event.
You sound like you're obfuscating now. We didn't
It's not that it
have
has
a
to be
contract.
canceled, but we need to be-
Okay, well, they say that, but we didn't have a contract. If we don't have a contract,
So
we
you think
can't get
we-
insurance.
But, so the minutes, I mean, that's.
Yeah, the minutes
you're
are obviously wrong
considering a
because
contract.
we got the wrong minutes in
But
December.
that was what was
But while we're talking about this, I do want to tell you where we've had VIP sign up so far from. The states that we've got signed up: New Jersey, Maryland, Virginia, Texas, Wyoming, Alabama, Florida, Virginia, West Virginia, South Carolina, plus North Carolina and Georgia.
Are these on the website?
Well, we don't post, we won't gonna post, people, because they might show privacy issues.
Folks, can I just say something here just a second? I know I'm not on your board, and I'm just a friend of Scott and Sylvia's, but I've known them a long time. And I've been a vendor. I own a motorcycle shop down in Raven Gap, Georgia, and been a vendor at several locations on several times. And what these people say they do, they always do. I've never had an issue with them whatsoever. It's always been to the T. What they said they'll do, they always end up. So I'm just wanting to add that.
You made a mistake when you said you were friends with them.
And there's no doubt
It is
that
what
you're
it
good
is.
people, and I'm not saying
And
that.
I didn't mean to lose my temper. It's just, and I'm hoping I wasn't getting loud, but Sylvia tells me I get loud sometimes, but,
We were both good.
Well, we're not going to resolve it tonight. We're either going to.
not till the insurance is.
Or have ample time.
She's gonna
Those are the
decide to try
options
to
at
call
this
that
point.
meeting
That's what
in
I wanted to know,
Texas.
what the options are. Either
Those are our two.
stop or we
The board.
delay. For legislative.
Does that seem to be the consensus of the board is just.
I think if you do that, it needs to be clear, and I would have this in the minutes, and maybe, and this, I would suggest you do this as a motion, to allow until, and continue this meeting until, what'd you say, 5:30 again
Monday.
on Monday?
Is that time enough for you, John?
It should be. It should be.
Give me the speak, sir. Did you?
Instead of Monday, because he's gonna be gone, can we send Tuesday? To give him
Yeah.
Monday
That would
back.
help.
And
Yeah.
give him
That's fair
one
enough.
at
A week from
time to-
today's Tuesday?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, a week
one
from
week
today?
from today. That's just one extra day, but that's gonna not have so much pressure on
Certainly, that's a
him.
week.
And just say, if we have insurance coverage, we go through it. If we don't have insurance coverage, we don't. Is that fair for everyone?
Is it fair?
Yeah, because if these two companies that told us they could do it and sent her the quote, they sent the wrong quote that said, here it is. They can't do it, then I guess we're not gonna be able to get insurance.
Well, I think the biggest problem right now is you're used to having it on Main Street where it is covered. You have coverage where this is on private property now, so I think that's where.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be that hard to get it, even if it's on private property. And I don't know why Jenny sent you the wrong policy, that's,
But I don't want to go through this personally.
I mean,
Without insurance.
we gotta have coverage.
So do you think you can have it to his office by Tuesday morning?
We should be able to have it in the morning.
Should be before that.
I mean, I should be able to do it in the morning, and then I would have forwarded it to him here, but she had the wrong attachment on her
Or
phone.
you know the writing it has to be in, can you forward a copy of that to Candy
Soon as it
and to
comes,
his
yeah.
office?
Yeah,
And let us know the status by Friday morning?
sure.
Status? Meaning,
Where he's at with
Well, I
it?
mean, if you can forward it to
Right.
Candy can forward it on to everybody else.
It's 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's the reason I'm saying, let you know the status Friday. Okay, we've got this, here it is, or this will be here.
Well, there needs to
Monday
be a
morning.
deadline.
But
So that's the deadline you're talking about.
Tuesday is, I'm saying, if you don't have it by Tuesday night, it's done.
Sure.
You can't do anything without insurance. Is everybody okay with that?
I think that's fair. Do you want to make that a motion?
I mean, I hate to be the bad guy, but.
No, that's reasonable.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then I want to make a motion that we meet back here Tuesday night at 5:30 on the motorcycle rally, rumble, whatever, to go over with, if you have insurance, and this is what I'm going to put in motion, if you have insurance that is to his
Right.
writing and liking, we go forward. If you cannot get the coverage to his writing, then we just got to back away.
Sure. Can I ask him to specify that again here, so it's in the minutes? The wording that it has to be, just so there's no mistake.
I would prefer to work it out with the insurance company, because they're the ones that are gonna
I know,
actually
but we-
write the policy.
But it has to be more than just setting up tents and hanging
No,
out.
well, see, the wording you gave us, or the wording you gave Sylvia, it said for activities involved in promoting and hosting a motorcycle rally. We've already got a company that's agreed to a price. Now, if we gotta go back again, and we gotta keep doing it, so that's what's happening to
Is
us.
he saying it's too generic, providing,
Hosting.
hosting, and maybe it doesn't
Activities.
specify?
The verbiage, activities, hosting, or hosting and whatever you said.
We've got a
initially.
motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Hang on.
Well,
She may have
Oh.
So everybody,
okay. So,
everybody happy?
But I don't think we can adjourn this meeting.
no, it would be
It's
continued. Be continued. The meeting will be continued until Tuesday at 5:30 with the understanding that by Friday.
At 5:30.
At 5:30, Mr. or Ms. Cochran needs to have something sent to Candy in writing.
Well,
As
A certificate of liability insurance covering.
Because I thought the reason we're not gonna do this until Tuesday is so we can have it in instead by Friday.
Exactly, but no, all I was saying is, I'd like to know this Friday, something sent to Candy and to him, just stating where you're at. Okay, this is going, girls, we're almost there, see you Tuesday night, it's a done deal. You know, something, or no, this isn't concept, we can't do insurance.
Well, I think we all want it to happen, and it's not that, it's just been a lot of issues, and we surely don't need to be dragged through the mud about not having coverage.
This
for
board's
something.
going to do this. This board's.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine, because we went through this the first year in Helen.
Yeah,
I can imagine part of it.
it's the first one.
You just don't know the bad mouth from this board.
I can imagine.
And what we would
Drugged through the
still
mud,
be drugged through the
one
mud
side
if we
down
didn't
the
have
other.
coverage, and I didn't bring it to the board and let them know that we didn't have
a lot of
that.
people that were very complimentary.
We've had
There's
a lot of
people
that, but we've had
excited
a lot
about
of
it.
A lot of people are
And, but, you know,
excited.
and it's
They're
sad
excited.
because I really wish that the people that would have all the negative voicing could have turned around and put positive into it, because this is a trial and everything.
It
This
is,
our
and that's how it
first
needs to
time.
be looked
And
at.
everybody should have been looking at it as a positive attitude, and it would have made everybody's life easier.
There's a motion and a second? Has a vote been taken? I didn't hear.
No, this discussion, once you have
Oh,
such
okay.
discussion,
I
and
just
then.
didn't-
And
Once
plus,
everybody's-
they
I
just
didn't know.
stepped out, so I don't know
Are
if
you
that means that she's
waiting?
got a thing policy, we may not even have to go this far. Because it's 2 hours back time, and she's on the phone with them, and I think Kenny's on the phone.
Well, I agree with Beverly. If she doesn't, though, I agree with y'all should have to make the trip over. That's all
But
we
she's
need
also
is
been told that
insurance.
she doesn't have to come to every meeting as well, so it's not something that we made mandatory.
And I apologize for that, and I didn't know that.
We needed her though, and she was generous enough to be here for most of the ones where we had asked her to be here because of all of the questions and things that were coming. Because we couldn't answer them.
Well, and
We've never done this before.
I didn't mean to come off sounding, I guess I just got a little aggravated with the invoice. Because there was never any questions before, there was never any, hadn't come up that you gotta, especially when the band thing came up, and I start thinking, how are we gonna pay the lights and sound guy, the bands and all this, and then wait 2 weeks, to get paid? Because, there's just no profit in this, to sit, and we can't pay them out of profit and then wait. So,
But you don't have to wait, I mean, I've talked to Sylvia as well, if you can provide an invoice, just some.
ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, that was,
Well,
was
and
discussed in the
Candy,
last meeting.
and Candy and I discussed that with her
Evidently
at the
she
last
misunderstood.
meeting. Yeah, that's fine, I mean, but that's what Candy and I
Oh, well,
discussed
sure,
with
yeah,
her.
we can get
If you can
those.
provide an invoice,
Pre-invoice, when I hear
Stating what you're
invoice, when she
billing.
hear invoices, she's thinking.
yeah, that's between you and the
host.
band, or the
Yeah.
bands. But if you could provide the town with an invoice stating, I mean, that's no issue, please
Okay.
don't get the wrong impression
then-
there.
Oh, I did, I was totally under the wrong impression. That's my mistake.
There is. There's,
Unless Karen opens up the weather show. Unless Karen opens up the weather show.
She may. She does very well at everything she does.
While we're waiting on you to come back in, I can tell you is speaking of the vendors, the vendor participation has suffered because of the different, not having a place established. And there've been several big vendors that had big rigs that basically said, no, we're not coming and setting up on a gravel lot. And, we understand that. That's just, new motorcycles and they're, some of them have motorcycle lifts and they have to be able to have a good stay. And they said, what if it rains? If it rains the day before, it rains the day of, it's going to be a muddy mess. So that's hurt us somewhat. But it's nobody's fault. I mean, I'm not blaming the boys. I didn't mean to say it that way. I just meant to say this is what's happened. This is the circumstances we're in.
It wasn't because I know at the beginning when we first established it, just speaking, it was supposed to be a 441. You would have had that property if it would have been taken care of months ago. And it wasn't.
Well, so
And
we-
nobody from this board or anyone in minutes did it state that we wanted a 3-day event on Main Street, unless I was gone.
No, it didn't say it in the minutes, but evidently, we all got, I mean, every event we ever done, motorcycle related, was 3 days.
So you can see where the concern would be, well, they wanted it on Main Street for a reason, so they'd have insurance to cover for that. And then when we didn't get the policy, that's the way I'm looking at it.
I think we could have done it originally a 2-day rally on Main Street with there's too much population, so that's so.
No, I mean, well, it has hurt some, but it's, in the last year, it's picked up. Last year and a half, the rallies have picked up a good bit, a lot.
My hotel for one. It's all good for that. So can we turn around to cancel? And me have to live with that? That's promised business that it can be taken on.
What about some of the bigger vendors setting up in places like Candy's Hotel parking lot, stuff like that? What about that?
Yeah,
That would be up to the individual.
I mean, it happens.
yeah, we thought about it, we thought about
It
some,
happens.
you know,
To my
yeah,
knowledge.
Kiriakin was one of them, that, I mean, you know how big they were.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they were a big draw. If we could advertise Kiriakin was going to be big, we got 3 times the number.
I talked to my drag rep, and if it got all together, I think they would want to bring their rig in and drag spec. But it's like you said, I mean, I've got $100,000 motorcycles and $60,000 motorcycles. I'm not doing it for, think it will happen.
And that's the website.
Got too much in it.
Is it? When will the website?
What part is,
Well, I know the last time I looked at it, it was lodging restaurants.
And
None of that was.
I think Tony's got all that up.
What about the vendor applications?
It's on there.
Is it, okay, when did that go on?
I thought I put that on a month ago.
Yeah, look and see, because I had a couple calls for interested vendors, and I checked it Friday, and I didn't see it.
Let's say I checked Friday too, and it said coming soon.
So,
Is there a door that I can step out the
So then, how are you? Good. Good seeing you.
Yeah.
I can put up with you. Look like you're enjoying retirement.
Yes, I am.
I'm kind of relaxed with the patient. Is the shed up still? Did you talk to him?
Well,
I went out there with the building inspector this week.
I'm doing my little hobby job.
Did you see the
The
end?
railroad.
I'm going to see the vendor
Like
list.
Smoky Mountain Road.
I just had several people call interested in filling out the form.
That's
They said,
what,
and I looked
that's
online,
what
I couldn't-
actually brought us. Is
It just says coming soon.
Connie was looking.
What are you doing?
I'm right now,
Oh, wait, here it is.
I've gone through several promotions. I'm a conductor and a
It's running the,
Sherry and I went to New England on the train,
why is it?
and there was a volunteer all the way through North Carolina,
Yeah.
and going in there. I don't, it's just something they do, and they're retired.
Yeah.
Pretty neat.
Yeah, no, that's new.
Originally went there to volunteer.
They updated
Yeah,
this,
because
they
all the
updated
first
this
railroads in
thing.
Illinois all
And
learned about volunteers. There's one,
Yeah, it changed,
in
okay.
Union, Illinois, that on a holiday weekend, maybe 400 people operating. And so I wanted to volunteer. We don't have any.
You're missing the boat.
Well, everybody's a part-time, at least a part-time.
You know, if I didn't know better, I'd say that looks just like my group.
No.
Oh, yeah. See?
You have a suntan.
Yes.
I'm surprised he doesn't have an Italian accent at this point.
Yeah, I learned. Yeah, we actually learned right from 9 countries. We were doing genealogy. Flew into Dublin, and went around Ireland because her family was from the Belfast area. And then we went over to Scotland, up into the Highlands because her family was from the area also. We're having trouble finding any history on her people because all the church records from in Ireland were sent to Dublin Castle. And when they had the revolution in 1906. So we had a list of all the church records that were destroyed, and that was as far as we could. And we trained from Edinburgh to London and got on the channel train to Paris. And we spent a couple days in Paris.
Okay, Ellen had made a motion. John, her motion was to continue the meeting until Tuesday at 5:30. Is that still, anything changed from the conversation?
The motion I would recommend is to continue the meeting until Tuesday afternoon at 5:30, as you said. At which time I will make a recommendation on the insurance and whether or not the TDA in town has been fully, or it is possible for them to be fully insured. To what I would recommend to be the appropriate level. I think you also need to specify, I think it's fair not to ask, and I'm sorry, this is not a pleasant motion. I think it's fair, I think it's fair for them not to expect to purchase a policy that they don't know whether or not it's going to be acceptable or not. And so I think that this needs to be done with the understanding that we'll meet Tuesday afternoon at 5:30, and if it's acceptable, they're going to agree to go on and purchase that insurance within that week. Is that fair enough?
Sure.
And that's Ellen's motion. Amended motion. Would you like to amend that to reflect the attorney?
Yes, what he said.
Okay.
And I'll second. You did.
All in favor?
Board goes.
All in favor? Any opposed?
So we're not adjourned.
Okay, then we're not adjourned, we're just continuing to the next.
But now my motion still stands that you will be contacting her Friday, because that'll be one of the things.
Well, and I'll be in touch with Candy, and I'm going to correspond directly with an insurance agent about what exactly, and make sure that we're very crystal clear about who's getting coverage for what. And that will be the policy that I'm bringing back to you on Tuesday. So I'm going to talk with the agent that's going to issue them the policy.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What day is it? The 31st? No, 31st.